सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Can reduce the master a little. To repeat after, let us stand together. तपोभिक्षीण पापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। 15th shloka, page number 46. paṃcakośādiyogena tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ śuddhātmā nīlavastrādiyogena sphaṭiko yathā। Up until the last shloka, we saw that Atma Chaitanya is something other than the three shariras. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat Vyatiriktaha. That which is other than Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira. Now the same concept is taken with further divisions in the format of the koshas. The three are divided into 5. Now why is this kind of a seems like beating around the bush? The same point again and again with different standpoints. The different standpoints are given not to beat around the bush, but to evolve in the subtlety of expression. As subtler we grow in our understanding, the deeper is the grip of the understanding, and quicker will it be for us to assimilate and disidentify from that which is not our nature. Therefore, this takes the predominance. If you look into works like Viveka Chodamani, Upadesha Sahasri, then the Vedanta Panchadashi, these works constantly, incessantly work on these different layers and the vivechana, the viveka of that. Now there is another reason. The other reason, which is actually the most important reason, is that our identity with these layers is very, very deep and very strong. it is like the peepal tree that tries to grow in the crevices of the rooftops. You try pulling it out. If you have not pulled it out from its roots, then however much you may try, a little sprinkle of rain, little moisture provided, usually they start growing where the moisture is easily accessible. It starts again flourishing. Now this time around, though the leaves look fresh and tender, the roots and the main trunk is stronger, and the gap that it is protruding in the roof is larger. And the only way to get rid of it is by getting to its roots. Whenever I walk around this facility, I see many such, and it reminds me only of our deep-rooted identity with this sthula sukshma karana sharira. Now this sthula sukshma karana sharira is now deciphered in the language of paṃcakosha. What are the 5 layers of this kosha? Annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya and anandamaya. Annamaya directly correlates to the sthula sharira. Pranamaya, manomaya and vijnanamaya, these 3 correlate to the sukshma sharira. Anandamaya, aka also known as karana sharira. So those 3 shariras are further enumerated for deeper clarity. That it is not just that I am identified with this sukshma sharira, but the various ingredients that go into the making of sukshma sharira, I am attached to it, and it is a very deep-rooted association. That any slight change in that, it can topple our entire being. It almost feels like a bottomless abyss. Dark, unknown and deep, as much we sink, that deep it still goes on and on and on. And the fear is there is no grip, there is no foothold for us to get out of it. Therefore, analyzing it from all possible perspectives, the subtler, the deeper, the wider the possible analysis, the easier for us to pull us out. Plus, each one of us is different. Some of us are identified mostly at the physical level. Some of us are identified with the emotional aspect. That anything a little disturbance, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. You understand Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati vocabulary? 2 are visible. One is Antarvahini. Ganga, Yamuna, that is Antarvahini. A little thing. And then pointing. क्या हुआ? नहीं समझोगे, जाओ. You will not understand it. Then there are those that consider themselves as adamantly strong intellectually. एक बार ठान लिया तो ठान लिया बस. Once I have decided. But the sad thing is, associated strongly with what? with wrong identities. And then to break it becomes one heck of a task. So each one is associated or deeply connected and identified with tattanmaya. That is the favorite word of Adi Shankaracharya ji. That we become so deeply associated that we act, behave and express as that particular layer. So here he says, paṃcakośādiyogena. Yogena. Yoga means to be connected with. Trying to connect with the path, we need the stability of the sharira. Therefore, the method to connect this and put it on the path is called yoga asana. Karma, yoga. Bhakti, yoga. Dhyana, yoga. Now these different words which are connected with the word yoga, we all know that the root word is yuja dhatu. Yuja to mean to be connected, to be yoked. Vahanam saha rishabha. Yoked to the wagon, the bull, the ox. Yoked, connected, tied down. And tied down with various layers at each as the tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. These are called the gunas. Guna means the quality or the attribute. Guna also means something to tie a thing with. Either a rope or a chain or a zip tie. See, when the police catches an individual, they may put a handcuffs. But if there is a huge gathering and they have to catch all of them, one handcuff or two handcuffs will not be sufficient. So what do they carry, especially in a writing environment? They carry a zip tie. They put the hands in the behind and they tie the zip tie, which is still restraining. Whether it is a zip tie or a handcuff or chains, if you see the old movies, the Shatru Raja has a iron ring on the neck, iron ring on the hands, on the waist, on the legs, and they are all chained up and dragged with a chain and tied with a chain. Whether it is extensively tied with the chains, or the chains are made of iron or gold or a zip tie, it still restricts. It still binds. It still limits. Paṃcakośādiyogena, being identified with these panchakoshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya and anandamaya, tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. Iva is a very, very important word. Another favorite word of Adi Shankaracharya ji. With that just one simple looking 2-letter word, there is so much conveyed. If somebody solves your problem, you say, wow, you are intelligent. In trying to solve your problem, if somebody has messed it up further, you can still say, you look very intelligent. looking like being intelligent and being intelligent are not the same. Iva shabdataha. As though, as if. That would be the appropriate translation of iva. As though, as if bound, tattanmaya, one with it. Tadatmyata. How deep is this tadatmyata? See, we used to go to the camps from here all the way to Siddhabari. Most of us were students, so we would go in train. So from here all the way to Pathankot. In those days, how many days was the journey? 2 days, 3 nights. And then from Pathankot, a bus through the winding roads to reach to Siddhabari. And because we were all in the Yuva Kendra, it would be like 30, 40, 50 people in one train, one coach. That entire coach is booming with Hariom. Various kinds of Harioms. Either to seek attention, either to make an announcement, either to start a bhajan, either to start the breakfast, lunch, dinner. I mean, after a while you forget whether it is breakfast, lunch, dinner because eating never stops. Anything that passes by has to go through a tasting spree of 40-50 people. The fellow who is running the pantry, he is like Chandi. Anything that he brings has to be tasted. So it's like, once you get off at Pathankot, you sit in the bus. Though you know that physically you are out of that train, but you are sitting in a bus and the bus is going through the winding roads, there is a seeming sensation of the continued effect of the train. You feel that movement. It's strange because you know you are physically not in that train anymore. But 2 days, 3 nights of that continuous journey in that train wherein you have been acclimatized to that movement of that train, that though you are out of the train, the body or the psychological effect of it is still persisting. The bus has its own movement. The curvy roads has its own impact. So deep is the impact that by mistake, if you have had food in Pathankot or there are certain spots in between dhabas where you have the samosa or the jalebi and pakoda and you know all of those. You have been there, done that. The curvy roads have the impact on your gut. There is motion sickness. Every 15-20 minutes, as soon as you have uploaded, the body says, "Chal hat, download it." And download it not through the normal, it is through the quick exit out. Please stop. What happened? Though the body is suffering through the winding roads because of the motion sickness, but still psychologically the movement of the train is not yet gone. Do we understand the impact? That I am not in the train, physically in a different movement, the gut is speaking loud. Even if it is just water, the water seems to be not sitting quite well. And yet, that sense of the train movement persists. Has it been your experience also? Just a 2-day, 3-night effect persists hours after even you have gotten out of it. We are in this body, mind and intellect, the 5 koshas, for different janmas. How deep would be the impact? Probably by the time you reach the Siddhabari, you have now gotten acclimatized to the confusion in the Madhya Pradesh. That sensation is gone. Imagine living being expressing as this Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, continuously Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam. How deep is the association that as reflex we behave as this limitation, tattanmaya. That I cannot see myself anything other than these limitations. And if anything were to happen to these limitations, I immediately assume that it is happening unto me. This is not to say, therefore, it is impossible to get out of it. Forget sadhana vadana. Khao piyo mauj karo, this cannot be transcended. Suffer and live like this. It is not impossible. It is difficult. Difficult is not the sadhana. Difficult is my attachment to these layers. Therefore, at every step of the way, mind is constantly reactive in nature towards sadhana. Get up in the morning, how many days? And this new Swami has come, he has put this satsang in the morning, 6:30 to 7:30. I had to wake up by 5 o'clock, come here. Kab tak? 27th. Why? I had to wake up in the morning. Now regarding food, hita bhuk, mita bhuk, rita bhuk. Eat only that which gels well with your constitution. Don't eat that which will aggravate any kind of migraine, headache, stomachache or acid reflux. But that is the chatpata. Eat in limited quantities. Hita bhuk, mita bhuk. Eat in limited quantities. Before lunch or after lunch? Rita bhuk. Don't eat all anapshanab. Eat that which has been guided by our ancestors or the scriptures. Eat sattvic food. Don't put cooked food in the sophisticated trash can called refrigerator. Dvipakam vishavat tyajet. Bhagavad Gita says it clearly. Yathā yāmam gatarasam Puti paryushitanchayat. Yama, 2.5-3 hours. Anything that crosses after you have cooked for 2.5-3 hours is to be avoided. If you end up having to take it, having to reheat it, is vishavat tyajet. This comes in the Ayurveda. Rita bhuk. But we have a dating system. not the other kind of dating. The dating meaning the food is labeled these many days old. Once cooked, अरे अमेरिका में it is like deep freeze, take out, thaw, microwave, everything possible wrong is done. And then when things go bad at the sharira level, I had no habits, no alcohol, no smoking, no any kind of carcinogenic. Why cancer? Whatever is the input, if it has gone aritabhuk, it is going to show impact somewhere. Of course, greater than this is, even if you have taken all care, prarabdham pushyati vapuhu. That is always there. As I said, ritabhuk, mitabhuk, hitabhuk. From tomorrow. Sit down, do your japa. Swamiji, my mind seemed to be pleasantly disposed until I sit down for japa. All kinds of unnecessary thoughts suddenly start flooding. I don't think japa is for me. None of these are meant for the mind which likes to be in its own licentious existence. It is only for those that are taking this path seriously, more than seriously, sincerely, that once you have understood through your own viveka that these are the necessary steps. If there is a reactive mind reacting towards sadhana, then you have to sit down with that mind and keep re-educating it again and again and again, just like how you educate your own child. Initially, when they are, the annaprasana is done, there is a little individuality popping. I want my own plate, I want my own food, I want to eat like others. But beta, it doesn't go straight in your mouth. It goes everywhere other than the mouth. Ice cream is given, that ice cream goes some in the nose, some in the mouth, some in the cheeks, some dripping down. Do you say it is a failure? Stop feeding. No, that fellow has to now gradually get to the habit of aiming it straight into one hole, rather than assuming that it can penetrate through the skin or the pore or... It's a gradual growth. To a point wherein once you have eaten, people get confused. Is it an eaten plate or yet to eat plate? Because the plate is done with such immaculate cleanliness. Ekdam saf. That is a habit. Over the ages, it gets there. You don't give up. But there is a compelling force to learn it that way. Now the mind has gone into a particular route of attachment. To detach it, there has to be that process, a continuous process. There are no Sundays, there are no Saturdays, there is no second Saturday, there is no long weekend, there is no casual leave. Come what may. We have heard stories of Swami Taponam Maharaj. When Gurudev went to him and saw his, the sharira had become so weak, and he said, Swamiji, Delhi chaliye na, please come to Delhi. There are people that can give good care. And Tapon Maharaj's very adamant response was, what? There is no death in Delhi? And that should stand as an inspiration. But yet, it is so easy to cave in. Not because the sadhana is difficult. It is because my attachment to these layers is so strong. And I cave in at every single layer with every single micro attachments that each layer has developed. We have not accepted the attitude of agate swagatam kuryat nirgate na nivarayet. आता है स्वागत करो, जाता है स्वागत करो, with equal equipoise. We have both issues. Anything new coming, it is difficult to adapt. Once adapted, it is difficult to change. Life is a flow of experiences, change is a must. The flow is pulling us one direction, we are holding on to it in Star Trek. There is a species from another planetary. They come and attach themselves to a system and feed off of it. They are called Klingons. Yes, usually that is what is the definition of a parasite. Paranbhuk. In Sanskritam, the parasite is called Paranbhuk. That who feeds off of others. We are no better. Constantly clinging on parasitically to anything that we have gotten attached to. And we say, that is the freedom when I can licentiously engage myself as long as I want, however long I want to engage or disengage from that which I am attached to is called freedom. And that is called the classic capitalistic way of living. It only promotes that kind of existence. Tattanmaya iva sthitaḥ. But then, how flimsy is this attachment or the platform of attachment? It is not that there are deep tentacles that go deep into the pores, get hooked onto it. It is just a seeming attachment only. But we are not able to release ourselves because we don't realize that that sense of attachment is only a temporary state of our imagination, our assumptions. And the example given here is beautiful. Nīlavastrādiyogena sphaṭiko yathā. Now here a little Sanskritam. In Sanskritam, there is no syllable which pronounces as fa. It is not sphaṭika, it is sphaṭika. It is not pa, fa, ba, bha, ma. It is pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Therefore, it is not karma phal. It is karma phala. It is sphaṭika. Coming back to the shloka. Sphaṭika, a nice polished crystal, and this crystal is so transparent. and with the right angle of light focusing on that sphaṭika, if it is placed on a cloth which is blue in color, here the example taken. Unless you change the angle, you will not even see that there is a crystal on the cloth. And the crystal appears as if it is blue in color. Its appearance of that blue color, that it behaves as a blue crystal, is only in appearance. Just because it is associated with that cloth and the color seems to be its attribute. You change the angle a little bit and you see the curvature of that sphaṭika, and then you see that the cloth color is reflecting in it. That's all. It's only in the angle of perception. There are these artists who sketch or paint illusory paintings, that you see it from one angle, it appears as a horse. In another angle you see it appears as a frog. In another twisted angle you look at it from the base of it, it looks like a beautiful girl's face with a hat. If somebody were to say, do you see the girl's face? Kahan? But once you see it, there is no unseeing it. Similarly, there used to be a craze several years ago of holographic printing, color printing. They say there is Bhagwan Vishnu's face in it. वो दिखता ही नहीं है. Or there is a Om with a chakra constantly moving. Kahan? Then you have to place it at a certain distance. And having placed it at a certain distance and an angle, then you have to squint your eyes, then slowly enlarge your vision, then it becomes clear. Once you see it, then there is no unseeing. But within that chaos there is that, but you have to learn how to see it. Similarly, once that angle of perception is experienced, you only see that it is a crystal, and the crystal is transparent, clear crystal, and it is the attribute of the cloth that is reflecting in it. Similarly, śuddhātmā. Now this is only for our understanding. This coinage of this word is only for our understanding. Because the moment we use the word śuddhātmā, there is an assumption that there could be a ashuddhātmā. So let us not go into that tangent. Here śuddhātmā is only for the listener's appreciation that Atma is always Shuddha. The last name in Puja Gurudev's Ashtottara Shatanamavali. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupaha. That which is Shuddha is only a pointer given for our mind to separate it from the other Ashuddha. Just because it is associated, don't assume that it has become Ashuddha. Vastra can become Ashuddha, Sharira can become Ashuddha, Mana can become Ashuddha, Buddhi can become Ashuddha, memories can become Ashuddha. The identity can become the Ashuddha. But Atma has been always Nitya Shuddha. Even if there was an iota of possibility, a rare possibility that Atma Tattva could become Ashuddha, then that is not Atma Tattva, that is Anatma only. That immaculate, the embodiment of purity is Atma Chaitanya. There is nothing that can corrupt it or limit it. But I experience nothing but corrupted existence or limited existence. That is purely because my attachment, my identity crisis. I have wrongly associated. If once that aspect is clear that it is my identity which is an issue, now how do I understand that my identity is an issue? Go back to the basics. What is the first step of sadhana chatushtaya? Viveka. Start from there again. There is a nice flow chart. You work with flow charts, right? You start with step A, it leads to step B. If you have not reached to step B, which should be in this format, then go back to step A, repeat step A properly so that you reach to step B. Each step leading to the other, if not, go back to step A and restart. When the flights take off these days, at least in the last 10-15 years, the pilot's job is not to fly the flight. What? It's not to fly the flight. It is their job is to only take off and land. And in case of emergencies, to handle those situations. The rest of it is, they call it autopilot. Cruise mode, autopilot. Just before putting the autopilot mode, because once they are into the sky, there is no point of reference. Usually the way I remember destinations is, from wherever I am, this should be the generic direction. The other day coming back from Jagannath temple, we depend on the GPS, and our Google Matalli took us through, instead of the main street, gullies. Now, to ascertain that what it is showing is probably the generic direction, is a sense of direction that is the, the assumed direction that I need to get to. So one of these streets will lead there. We can make such guessworks here. There in the sky, in the point of origin, before you switch the autopilot on, even if there is a 5 degree or even less than 5 degree variation, because earth is round, so if there is a 5 degree variation, instead of landing in Delhi or Bombay, you might land in Vladivostok. Kahan hai? Russia mein. How did I reach there? A little variation. When we start the sadhana, if the clarity is not well founded, we may look like doing sadhana but reaching completely a wrong destination. Therefore, there is so much of pounding on the Viveka aspect. Before we begin, that point should be, that GPS coordinate should be clear. Once we have decided, like Buddha, after having traversed through several things in his life in the name of sadhana, finally comes to the understanding and says, I have to disidentify and reach to that state. Then he says, Karyam va sadhayami, shariram va patayami. Do or die, there is no turning around. Now, where did he get that conviction from? Conviction is a result of clarity. If we are doing it just for the feel-good factor, सवेरे सत्संग गए थे, बहुत अच्छा लगा था, लड्डू है क्या? बड़ा स्वाद आया, क्या लड्डू है क्या? It is not for a feel-good factor that I sit down and do some puja, japa. How much of internal stability have I gained? How much of accessibility have I gained? How much of detachment have I gained with every single effort, every step of the way? If after 3 months of sadhana, 6 months of sadhana, I am still there where I am, just like how we say in puja, after the entire puja is done, yathā sthanam pratishthamayami, kshemaya punaragamanaya cha. After the sadhana is done, during the period of sadhana, we have put the attachment away, all the confusions away. As soon as I get out of it, so one of our Swamis very jovially says, Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. What does it mean? Before I started, I was ignorant. Now that I am done with this satsang, I go back to my ever exuberant state of ignorance. Yathā sthanam pratisthāpayami. Because we are very good at changing the coordinates for our own convenience. As soon as I see that I am stuck, go back to the basics. Reevaluate everything. Even a minor difference, minor change, minor misunderstanding, it may appear that I have been doing sadhana. Externally, I might look like a glorious example of sadhana. And people also fall for that and start praising. 30 साल से कर रहे हो, पहुंचे हुए हो, कहाँ? उसी अंधकार में. I mean, we can evaluate ourselves from within. Nobody from the outside can evaluate for ourselves. If I am still at the same point wherein my micro habits at the sharira have not changed, my micro habits at the level of my mind, the mind is not yet accessible. What sadhana are we doing? See, when I turn on the switch, the electricity is there, the wires are connected, the bulb is functioning. As soon as I switch it on, it should immediately illumine. Even if it is a tube light, that it takes a while, it flickers through its way. Still it should shine. But if you turn it on and it doesn't turn off, if you turn it off and it stays turned on, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. That I have been doing sadhana, I ask my mind, this is the field where you usually get agitated. Be careful, be watchful, do not get agitated. And I end up getting agitated. I end up getting frustrated. What sadhana have I done? The mind should have been accessible. It's just being a mere instrument. We don't like being told by anybody. Do this, don't do this. Even as tiny kids. Once I saw that this father and me were entering into the house, his youngest kid. He was still a toddler. He was attracted to something fallen on the floor. Father saw it, I saw it, the child saw it. The child quickly crawled up to that vastu. The father immediately screamed the instruction. Don't put it in your mouth. As the father was barking this instruction, the child had already picked it up. He knew very well. The child had already picked it up before he could complete the sentence. Ab kya karoge? What will you do now? You could see the defiance in his face. Hardly 2.5 years fellow. Now that we have grown, if the Shastra says don't, why not? That is our logic, biggest logic. Whenever there is a method given, why not? Is that the sign of intelligence? To ask why not? But we think that is the greatest intelligence. Because whatever the Shastra, especially in our Vaidika Shastra, every guidance given is based on pure logical step-by-step method. There is no dogma here, thou shall not. Why? There is no reason or rhyme or rhythm given. But here the logic is built and we intelligently have to now come to that conclusion which is being pointed at. In spite of all of this, we don't like, we are defiant with any instruction given with regards to do's and don'ts. Because we feel our freedom is snatched. We cannot bargain with that. And yet, our mind makes us dance to every silly little thing that can happen or not happen. And we say that we are the most intelligent and aiming for freedom, not having the freedom to treat the instrument as the instrument and have complete accessibility. If after years of sadhana that accessibility is not gained, shouldn't we sit, pause, rethink? Where exactly am I going wrong? Go back to Viveka. Check how strong is the Vairagya. And Vairagya is not an act of force. It is a natural result of the depth of Viveka. If in the tea that I am consuming somebody says that there is maybe poison, maybe. Will you even say, slowly I will stop it. Just started, 2 more sips and then I will stop. No, even that which is in your mouth already, because the clarity, Viveka is that is going into my system is not correct. The moment I realize it, there is no Vairagya. I should not be attached to this. I should grow out of it. Shanai Shanaihi Uparamet. No, it is the Viveka, the moment the clarity clicks in. Detachment is instant. If the detachment itself is not there, that means Viveka was never there. Am I getting across? The sadhana is simple. We have applied this sadhana in several cases in our own life. Somehow, in the case of this paṃcakosha and me realizing that detachment is the only way. Atma vichara leads to that detachment, and if the detachment is not reflecting, that change of perspective, change of vision is not reflecting, where is it that I am going wrong? So go back, strengthen wherever we have fallen short. Isn't that what the doctors do? That if a certain organ is not functioning well, even if it is a psychological state, they would say that there is some chemical imbalance. Provide that. Not that the field of brain study is not yet very complete or profound. It's a hit and trial method. So they will start with a bigger dose, then they'll start reducing it, then say, okay, this is the dose at which it comes back to a sense of normalcy. They do the blood diagnostics. When recently, after having gone through in the last 4 months, realized क्या elements होते हैं. There is sodium, there is potassium, there is phosphorus, there is calcium. A little variation here and there. Either it has to be increased or reduced. When everything is going on hunky-dory, we abuse the system. A little thyroid, hypo or hyper, a little plus or minus makes a world of difference. Fine-tune it, readjust it. Similarly here, if that detachment is not profound, that means my viveka to start with. If the foundation is not very strong, however big the edifice that you may try to build, it will soon collapse. It's okay. Now you have understood that the foundation is not very strong. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't cave in. Re-strengthen your foundation. Because from getting out of this cave, that is the only method. Unless you have the profound, solid foundation, there is no going out of this. Because Atma is ever existent, ever pure, ever illumining. Karna kuch nahi hai. That which is blocking it, we have to remove. And the only way is through Viveka. Continuing. Ab kya continue? We'll do it tomorrow. Didn't realize that 1 hour just flew by. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyat Dukhabhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।